All right, we are live. It is a Mystery Fifth Hour presented by McCurry Van and Car Rental. I think it's our first ever live Mystery Fifth Hour. Am I right about that?
Oh,
we did one at the Floribama.
Yeah, we did.
Yep.
I think we've done a couple of them, but definitely that one at the Floribama was the historic one. Yeah,
that was the one that almost got us a cease and desist. Did it officially get a cease and desist?
No, we got we got a composed email from
someone.
Yeah, someone, and it looked very. It looked like a counsel had given him a little advice, or maybe he cut and pasted.
Maybe a lawyer had sent him this.
Yeah.
So our first one in a while, Mystery Fifth Hour. We are at Barber Motorsports Park, perhaps, I don't know, but perhaps you can hear the cars in the background. They're on the track right now, very loud. And we're a long way away. That shows you how loud those cars are. We are not like sitting on top of the track.
I would say half a mile.
Half a mile away? Okay. Maybe so. That's.
I'm always surprised on the interstate. I was thinking this last night when we were getting off at Pell City for that show, that, 1 mile, when you hit that sign, you're like, I probably need to get over, but it's still a mile. But when you get to the half mile on the interstate, you can actually see the exit at that point.
That's when I start to panic.
So at that point, you've got to get over. So I'd say that's about a half mile.
Yeah, I start to panic. When I get to the half mile
I would think a little bit more, 0.75.
Oh, I need to go sunglasses. Hold on.
When I get to the half mile mark, I start to think, okay, we got to get some action now. At the mile marker, I'm not worried. My wife's always like, you need to get over. I'll get over.
No, I'm like Jen. I like to get over at a mile.
At a mile?
Yeah.
When do you get over?
Unless there's a slow car.
You have a hard and fast rule?
No, not really. I mean, I start trying to get over at the mile, but I don't panic until, like you guys, about a half mile out.
Yeah.
I knew it. I dropped these glasses earlier. I think I broke
them. Are they already scratched or you break them?
I broke them.
Those are Ray-Bans,
I dropped them right over there. You can see them, right?
Oh,
Hairline.
Yeah.
I've had these since 2012.
You got a good run out of them.
Christmas 2012, when we were going down to Miami. Because what was the show on HBO with those that the casino owner and the
it was on Stars.
Was it
Magic Town?
Magic Town.
Magic City.
Yeah, and they all wore these, and
they did.
I got
it was
that
set in
pair,
the 1950s.
And this is the one I got for Christmas that year, and I've had them since then, and they're absolutely broke.
I think that's one of the shows that I hate that got canceled. I think, Lance, you tapped out on it, had you not?
No, I remember the last episode because remember the crime boss.
Well, it was not intended to be the last episode. It just ended up being the last
but he ended up in the hospital. And then it was going to get really hokey because you got the estranged dad and son, and then son was about to bang dad's wife.
That is correct.
So I think that was going to be the jump the shark moment, honestly.
Yeah, but it was good for a minute. I like the premise of it all and that era.
Yeah. I think that, when Stars does something, it's like HBO light. So it's just not as good. Luganville sent us that text today about the Pit, and I like the Pit. I'm like through 8 episodes. I know you finished it. I think you're through 10.
Yeah. When you were out one day, Dunaway, with your passing of your father, Luganville came on, and he said the Pit might be his favorite show on right now.
It was really, really good. I mean, there was reasons why I thought it could be better, and I just don't know how they do season 2 now. I thought I don't want to spoil anything, but later into it, there's a couple episodes that are so good, still to come for you guys, that are so good.
That's what I hear.
That you wonder, where do you go from here?
Wait, Lance, go ahead.
I just think it's a little hokey, based on the fact that you've got every single circumstance that could happen in an ER in one day in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they're like an hour on top of one.
And I know you got to have material, especially if you're going to do 15 episodes. And I also don't like the angle. I mean, I know it's real, but about how short-staffed healthcare is, and then they go into the politics of the administrator from the hospital coming down and the back and forth and all that.
You'd like to think everybody's just focused on saving lives and not all the other stuff they're focused on.
I just think some of that's forced. Like I get,
maybe so.
I think that is part of the industry, and it's part of the problem that a lot of the consumers and the American public have with healthcare. But I just think some of it's a little forced. And and this is not giving anything away, from drownings to burns to spiders to car wrecks to fentanyl. I mean, it absolutely is everything you could imagine in one day.
Yeah, the little girl.
And it keeps going.
The little girl. That was when I was like.
So that was maybe
That's
that
the
was
last one I watched.
So the last one was when one of the doctors, very vague there, there's plenty of doctors, has a little issue with Noah Wiley at the locker.
That's the last one I
That was the
watched.
last one I
you
saw.
and I would say, are we at episode 10, I think?
I thought it was 9.
Is
But
that 9?
I don't
So we're
know.
about to watch 10?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, so who is your, well, let me tell you about McCurry Van and Car Rental. And we do have a topic we'll get to in a moment. If you need a car, van, or truck rent from McCurry Van and Car Rental, local rental company you can depend on, all kinds of vehicles to choose from, trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, easy in, easy out, easy to rent. Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, 2nd Avenue Northwest in Coleman, Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. Reserve your rental today, 256-559-1003. That's 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com, McCurryRentals.com. Who's your favorite actor on there? What actor? Because mostly no names outside of Noah Wiley, right? I didn't recognize any of them.
A couple of things. I'm surprised he doesn't get more work.
Who, Noah Wiley?
Yeah, maybe he just doesn't want it. Maybe he made so much
maybe he's
ER.
like, I'm holding out for another show about an ER.
Yeah, but he does a really good job on there. I think the Dr. Langdon, the really cocky hotshot ER doctor.
The guy?
Yeah.
He's kind of got the dimple in his chin.
Yeah, the guy, he looks like Chris Pine's
The one that was
brother.
in the
Right,
locker,
right.
the locker scene.
I didn't want to give. But
he's good.
I think he has got potential to have a pretty good career.
I tell you, I don't know if you, well, it goes with that storyline, but I don't want to give anything away here. But Santos, I think is her name.
Yeah.
The female doctor.
She's my favorite character.
Wears the ponytail.
Yeah.
She's tied up in that storyline you're talking about.
Oh yeah, I don't.
You don't like her?
You talking about the pudgy looking Kelly Clarkson?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've not thought about that.
She's one of my favorite characters.
You don't think she's good, Lance?
I think she's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, but does she look like Kelly Clarkson?
A little bit. I'd not thought of it.
Yeah, when she won American Idol, absolutely.
Yeah. Does the the main nurse, does her voice get on your nerves? It does mine.
No. Well, you know why?
The one that talks through her nose like that all the time.
You talking about the blonde hair?
Yeah.
She's English.
Yeah, she's doing an accent.
out of town.
That's
Are you
very
serious?
Pittsburgh.
So that's the problem. I think when you try to do these dialects, because the dialects are so specific. I guess they're specific here in the States.
Yeah.
Whoever a dialect
Man,
coach, I'm sure.
I am always blown away when you find out these actors are English,
Yeah,
like actors
she's
you never
English.
heard of. So do English actors do that? Do they create like a weird accent just to get past?
Well, I think what Dunaway said, I think
Yeah.
it was there's such a specific dialect coach. We want to go, some kind of Pennsylvania, and I don't even know what it sounds like in Pennsylvania. I've heard it before, but
but Pittsburgh, that area is it has that very specific dialect. I think they're such good actors, Brown, that they want to be so specific to their character.
Right.
I don't think they're covering anything up. I think they're just so good at what they do.
Have you got a lipper?
It's just a little drug that I take
Oh, I'm sorry.
So-
sorry, Jim.
in the form of a lipper. Yeah.
So, but I think it gets too specific, like White Lotus this last season. Jason Isaacs, the guy that played the dad with the Duke sweatshirt.
That was horrible.
Yeah, like him and Parker Posey trying to do these North Carolina accents.
Horrible.
Isn't Parker Posey from Alabama?
No.
Oh,
Don't you think
I thought she was. I
like
swear.
everybody from Alabama doesn't talk like that. Everybody from North Carolina
Right.
doesn't talk like that. Like you can have just a normal American accent, whatever that sounds like.
Yeah.
And you don't have to go over the top like deep Southern
Right.
or whatever that I guess that's Old South.
Right.
kind of that dialect.
Montgomery. I would say, I think the girl Brownie, the daughter of Parker Posey in White Lotus, is from Alabama.
Yeah, she's from Montgomery.
Yeah.
Legitimately.
Yeah.
Now,
Oh, yeah, Parker Posey's from Baltimore.
you know
My
what's
bad.
great? Is like Parker Posey probably is going to win an award. I wouldn't be surprised if she wins an Emmy and or a Golden Globe for that performance. And look, she's been an underrated, underappreciated actor that does a ton of independent films. I've been watching her for 35 years, but that role ain't the role. But she'll get, and she's already getting a ton of critical acclaim for
So
it.
that's season 3 of White Lotus. Is that what y'all are talking about? Yeah, I'm still on season 2.
I'm starting. I don't know. Was season 3 better than season 2?
Season 2 has
not for me.
drug for me.
Not for me.
Well, then season 3 is going to drag too.
I'm 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, because it just it's worth watching, but it never hits, and it has so much potential, and especially with Walton Goggins and Sam Rockwell.
So the two couples are just completely annoying to me. I don't like anybody in those two couples. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Oh,
the
yeah.
couples that on the video. I
That
don't
was
like
the guy with Aubrey Plaza.
Aubrey Plaza is the only actress, or the only actor I know.
Theo James, the guy I was talking about earlier today.
Yeah, don't like any of those.
Yeah.
I had enough in season 1 of Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah, I did not want her to come back for
I know.
season 2.
Y'all told me, like, hey, by the way, there are going to be some recurring characters from 1 to 2 to 3. And I'm like, boy, I hope it's not Jennifer Coolidge.
Yeah.
First scene is Jennifer Coolidge. I'm like, jeez.
No, there's nobody from 2 and 3.
Okay,
It's
that's good. So Jennifer's
1
about
to
be done.
3.
All right. So I don't like her. I do like her little assistant, Portia. She's
Yeah.
funny. But the British guy with that real thick Cockney accent, don't like him.
Yeah, there's only one person that's in all 3.
I don't think she's in 2.
Well, so John Christ, the guy that she's married to, is in all 3.
Oh, he's in 2?
Yeah, I think he's got a quick little part into.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I think he's the one that introduced her to, or he has something to do with all the boat people.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's right. He's in
Yeah.
one scene. Yep. Or a flashback scene or something.
I'm telling you, White Lotus with Tom and Shiv or some form of
That
Succession.
was a great idea. Yeah.
I mean, I really think you could pull
Yeah.
that off. And I mean, imagine if you want to introduce, and I think you've got a lot of what am I looking at? Crossover from audiences that watch Succession and White Lotus.
Probably so.
But you would bring everybody back that watch
Yeah.
Succession.
Oh, yeah, just to see Tom and Shiv again.
Yeah.
That's right. Would it be too much to include Greg? I asked you that the other day, and it seemed like you were like, I don't know. Greg and Tom were so good
I
together.
mean, you could actually bring all
yeah, it's just a family trip.
yeah, they're like on some kind of retreat.
Yeah.
that'd be
on
phenomenal.
White Lotus.
That would be good.
That would be phenomenal.
Yeah, just to get away from all the mess that ended the show.
Yeah.
They could go there to spend a month at a 4 Seasons. That'd
Yeah.
be great.
We have gotten into a weird, routine in White Lotus of people dying, though. And I mean, if you're going to pay $1,500 a night for a standard room, I don't think you want people dying on these properties all the time.
I would agree. Yeah.
So I just wonder if you did a Succession. I guess you could. I mean, Succession only had one person die the entire series.
I got to
right?
say, if I'm paying $79.95 a night, I don't want somebody dying there. It really.
yeah,
Yeah. Price.
And that was the one that happened across the pond. That was the only person.
It was, no, it was the
No.
main.
Yeah,
It was
I
the
mean,
what?
it's been gone. Brian Cox.
Brian
I mean,
Cox.
Yeah.
The old man.
No,
I think he's the only one that dies.
it's
there.
been on the drowning.
Oh, that's right. There are 2. Yeah, in the car accident.
Oh yeah.
I
I'm
forgot
talking
that.
about main characters.
Yeah,
Oh,
so
main
2.
characters. Yeah. Okay.
Hey, don't forget, as I mentioned, we're at Barber Motorsports Park. The road to the Indy 500 runs through Birmingham. It is going on today, as you can hear perhaps in the background. Tomorrow and Sunday, fastest IndyCar drivers in the world, Award, Dixon, and Newgarden, putting their skills to the test. One goal in mind, that's victory. Miss America, Abby Stockard, making the most iconic command in all of racing as the Grand Marshal. May starts here. The Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix, powered by AmFirst. Tickets are selling fast. Get yours today, IndyAlabama.com. That's IndyAlabama.com. It is a Mystery Fifth Hour presented by McCurry Van and Car Rental. McCurryRentals.com. That's McCurryRentals.com. We'll get some comments here. We were talking about when you panic to get off the interstate. Dunaway, you say at the 1 mile mark. I say at the half mile mark.
I don't think I panic.
Okay.
I get over.
When you get
But if there's a
active.
slow car, I'll get over. And if it's slow and I can get around and get back, I'll do that again. I'll pass again
Yeah.
to get over. But
Shit.
I get over at
I'm
once.
I'm kind of in between you guys. Because I think to myself, how many times have I missed this? Probably twice in my life. So
Yeah.
I've got a pretty good percentage. I'm going to find a way to get over.
That's right. Smuff says, wait, LT drives? You drive occasionally. You drove out here,
I
didn't you?
drove out here.
That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Long
try
drive.
to limit my driving.
I know. Charles says, Dunaway guessed a mile. This is coming from the same guy who said Smith Lake is 1,000 feet deep. No, you said like
Yeah.
Martin.
How much is a half mile? Because
I
I
couldn't
think there
tell
are
you.
places from here to that flag right here by that sign where the photographer entry to that turn
Yep.
16 is. That
You think that's half a mile?
I think that's how deep parts of Lake Martin is.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's
No, that's about a half mile to the flag.
Yep.
To either one of those flags. And then
How
I
many
think to the
feet?
track is another 0.25.
So how many feet's half mile?
2130. Is that right?
2,130 feet?
Yeah.
I
But-
promise you, I think there's parts of Lake
There's
Martin
no
that deep.
way.
Yeah.
So just look at it like a
I
building
mean, look
downtown.
at this. Look at
Okay,
this.
so the Redmond Hotel is 13 floors. So that's 130 feet. I mean, that's, you start stacking that up.
as I get lost after about 2.
okay, but see the white trailer right there. How deep's that? How far is that?
It's.
I mean, think about it, Dunaway. If
That's
that were
600 feet. That's 2 football fields.
So you're telling me there's no part of Smith Lake or Lake Martin that's this deep?
No.
Oh, my God.
just think
I'm
Dunaway.
afraid of hitting trees and roots then when I'm flying in a boat.
If you were hitting a golf shot, what would you hit to that trailer? You think?
Oh, that's
Looks about like an 8-iron. It's 150 yards.
that
This is downhill, so it's a little.
Yeah, or maybe I'll
Yeah.
hit a 9. We're into the wind some too. Got to factor in that. Don't you think that's about an 8-iron
I don't
here
have
to
my
the-
little thing.
from here to the trailer? I
Yeah.
know. I knew if we had that, we know.
But if that's uphill, it's a 4.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
Jeremy says,
Look at you, 1 round of golf and you got the slope
I
down
know.
pat.
you should have seen this guy. So Lance had not played golf in 7 years, and you had only played once in like 10 years, basically, right?
Yeah. Well, I told you the last time I played, and I know Phil Boozer in America's First part of this was before the 3 of us and David Walls played at Heatherwood. I played on a random Friday afternoon in October with you, Del Greco, Phil Boozer at Greystone at the Founders.
So Dunaway, we go out to Hoover Country Club. For those who have ever played Hoover, the first hole, most people just hit iron in the fairway because there's a water hazard that kind of at an angle dissects the fairway. And Lance said, "Can I hit driver?" I said, "You can't get it over, but you can hit it." What do you think he did? He hit it. I think it hit in the hazard. There's like a concrete or rocks or whatever, and it bounced over. I was like, God, that's the luckiest shot ever, Lance. And then he pulls out a sandwich. Doesn't even know how far he is. It hits it to about 10 feet. Guy had played forever.
No, the crazy thing was
Did
the
he make
putt.
putt?
And, no, he missed the putt.
But I 2-putted.
He 2-putted for par.
But then the very next hole, I hit an amazing par putt. And then on 18 to win us money, I
That's
hit,
true.
I don't know, 30-foot putt.
Yep.
Yeah, I told you the putting I think you would get. I mean, that's where your good eye-hand coordination
Nah, that
and
was
judging of speed.
That was my fear. But I'll tell you, I was more impressed with my driver because I use driver pretty much anytime I can.
Yeah, Lance
It's really
just,
stupid.
if it's not a par 3, Lance hits driver.
But I mean, it worked. But I'm telling you, my next round will be a disaster if I ever play
Yeah,
it.
well, that'll be in 7 years.
Yeah.
Jeremy, I just ran into him at Buc-ee's. He said, that was me with a fist bump at Buc-ee's. Very nice to meet you, Jeremy. I had to stop and go to the bathroom. And I was like, I don't know how long it's going to take me to get out
I
there.
don't
and
think we've
really got to go.
Ever asked you this? Do you like Buc-ee's?
You've never been, have you?
I stopped on the way to Dallas.
Yeah.
We stopped at a
Oh, that's
Buc-ee's.
right. That was the first time you'd
And,
been.
and then I went when I was doing something in Huntsville. I went to the Athens Buc-ee's. But no, I don't love it. No.
See, I was going to say, I've never met anybody that doesn't like Buc-ee's.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, I like Buc-ee's. I think
I
it's,
think it's the
I think
most
there's-
overplayed thing in the world.
I mean, there's so many different kinds of food. You can get beer, you can get every kind of soft drink. The shopping stuff is
So-
behind me.
Basically, you're telling me,
The brisket's really good.
okay.
They do have good brisket.
I mean, and the bathrooms, it's
No, I
legit.
love
That's
the
why I
bathroom.
stopped.
That's why I stopped. The bathroom.
Yeah.
And the gas, from what I hear, I don't think I've ever filled up there, is really cheap.
Well, I got a marathon in Moody last night, 269. And as I'm there waiting. I'm getting out of the car. I'm throwing away something. As I'm throwing something, I promise you, it's 269 when I'm getting out. I'm reaching my wallet to get it, and it changed to 259. Went down 10 cents.
Well, how about that?
Yeah. Then I put my card in, and it's 259.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Changed before you could even pump.
Yeah, 10 cents.
10
Is
cents
that
a gallon.
normal?
That's a pretty big change. I
Yeah.
didn't think it fell that much normally.
But like I would feel really comfortable, having a daughter or kids, like stop at Buc-ee's. Like that seems like very secure area too.
No.
Like I don't. Outside of how crowded it can get, is my only thing I don't love about it.
It was packed. I stopped to go to the bathroom and immediately
Isn't
regretted
that
it. because
crazy
it was
though?
packed. It
How
was
it's packed every
I
freaking
know.
time you go, because I always hit the
I
one
know.
in Athens
Yeah.
because I'm always going up to Nashville, and I've been to this one a couple of times. So.
Yeah, it
But
was
I do
packed.
like it a lot.
So it's good to see Jeremy. Thank you for saying
Yeah.
hello,
I've
Jeremy.
never been in this one.
He follows up. Best baseball movie, Bull Durham. That was his question.
Yes,
I do love Bull Durham.
yeah, I think Bull Durham, and then probably The Natural after that.
I mean, The Natural, I think, is my favorite.
Major League, and then it quickly falls apart. Like there's a lot more bad baseball movies, Big Little League or whatever, Mr. 3000.
Yeah.
You've never seen The Sandlot, have you?
I haven't.
Yeah, The Sandlot. It's a good family movie. I mean,
Yeah.
you're not going to watch it. It's not like The Natural or Bull Durham. It's a family movie. But I think your kids are probably
I know,
too old
yeah.
for it now. If you'd have watched it with younger kids, you'd like it, I think.
Yeah.
Have you seen it, Dunaway, The Sandlot?
I probably have seen it all, but I think I've seen bits and pieces. It's a
Yeah.
little boring to me.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
I like Bull Durham. I like A League of Their Own. I love Major League, the original one.
I just thought The Natural was so good. It was, what year did that come out?
Natural came out in 1984.
84. So I was 6. I don't think I watched it just then, but I watched it pretty soon after. I was like 8 or 10, probably watching.
I like Field of Dreams.
Or I was 8. Excuse me.
So I didn't.
Field of Dreams, I thought was a bit hokey, Jim.
Yeah, the Moonlight Graham thing.
Yeah, I didn't bother that. The one thing that has always bothered me about that,
it was up for Best Picture though,
is everybody's takeaway line from that movie is "want to have a catch," and I've just never heard that phrase until that movie.
It was "if you build it, they will."
Well, that too, yeah. The second most takeaway line.
I would like to have that baseball. I mean, if I had people to play with, that'd be kind of fun to have that cornfield.
You never heard the phrase "you want to have a catch"?
Never. Not until that movie. Do you say that? You want to have a catch?
It's probably more of a northern
yeah.
Midwestern term, but I've heard it before.
Yeah. Well, you want to play catch.
You want to play catch is the way we said it down here. Yeah. So
more difficult is to find a good football movie. So I've got one that I really like, but it's cheesy.
I've never seen. I didn't love Friday Night Lights.
I did like Friday Night Lights.
I did not like it.
I didn't love it. It was okay to me. I've never seen North Dallas 40.
That's my favorite. I like it. Yep.
Yeah.
No, it's they were trying to base that obviously on the Cowboys back in the 70s. But I thought Nick Nolte and Mac Davis were really, really good in it.
Yeah.
I thought, and I know I'm in the minority, I thought The Waterboy was awful.
Yeah. Never been a big Waterboy guy.
I did not like the We Are the Titans.
I liked We Are the Titans.
Remember the Titans.
Yep.
We Are Marshall.
We Are Marshall.
I didn't like that.
Yeah, that one was emotional, but
you knew what was going to happen, though, right?
Yeah. All right. Sorry about that, guys. If you saw that right there real quick, we had a little issue with the iPad there.
But even worse, basketball movies. Now, One-on-One with Robbie Benson way back in the day. Do you remember that one?
I do remember that one.
He was kind of a Jimmer for debt, and he couldn't get along with his coach. The guy that was the senator in Godfather 2. The guy that's a complete dick.
Yeah,
you can tell. But he was the. Did you ever?
You don't have to wait. You have my answer. It's no.
Did you see One-on-One with?
I've never seen that. No.
Oh, he is a coach that just rides his ass, and he finally has to play him. And I forgot what the circumstances were. And of course, Robbie Benson just goes off.
I loved Hoosiers and
Hoosiers was good.
And Blue Chips and Nick Nolte. I thought was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean when I first saw it, but I don't know.
Gosh, I was about to give you another comment here. If you'll give me 2 seconds. Charles says British actors are far better faking American accents than Americans are at British accents.
It's not even close.
Well, it's stunning, and I know we've talked about this before, but the first time I was like, "Oh my gosh, that guy's British," was Damian Lewis on Band of Brothers. I'd never seen Damian Lewis do anything. I don't know that he had done anything before Band of Brothers, but after one of the episodes, he's doing an interview, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, that guy's British." I had no idea,
and he was so good in Homeland too. The thing is,
that was after Band of Brothers, right?
Yeah, Homeland was after.
Yeah.
I think the difference is they're all classically trained for whatever that's worth. I mean, you do have, your Matt McConaughey's and guys that just go out to LA and they make it on looks and auditions and all that kind of stuff. And I think the majority of the Brits are classically trained.
I think it's something about their accent that's easier to erase than our accent.
Maybe so. And I just wonder if we're that bad at faking it. We've got to be, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think as Americans, we have less desire to learn different languages or to change the way we do things.
NH3425 asks, are you better at driving or navigating the driver to their destination when the GPS doesn't work right? Are you a better driver or navigator?
I like doing it all. I like driving by myself.
You're the captain now.
Yeah. Probably navigating though, because I will catch myself turning the music down.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Anytime you don't know where you're going, that's the first thing you do, right? You just turn that music down.
It's really amazing, and
Get
it doesn't
that
make
music
any
turned
sense.
down.
But I think everybody does.
Yeah.
Right?
I will tell you today. I went to have lunch at Lags.
Oh, did you? How was it?
It was
Did you
good.
get the deluxe?
I went deluxe the last time, so I didn't know which. You guys keep talking about the signature one, so I went with the Lags burger, with the tots again crispy. When I was leaving though to come this way, but no, it was on my way to Lags. The GPS was taking me First Avenue, and then I was turning right. Well, I come up on a train track, and the train's not moving. But the GPS, the Waze, is still telling me to wait and go straight.
Are you talking about Avondale?
Yeah.
You get behind that train.
So I'm over here. It's not moving.
Because it's a slow moving way. So
it's not moving at all. So I go left. There's a road running right down the tracks. Well, I make it to the end, but there's no turnoff, and it goes to a dead end. So I whip it around, and it's telling me to go back left. It's going to take me all the way back to the expressway and take me the way I should have gone to Avondale.
Right.
But I decided, to hell with it, I got a little extra time. I'm going to explore a little bit. So I turned right, and I go down, and I, start going a couple of ways over in that direction. And I was thinking to myself, well, I could get lost here over in this side of town.
But you didn't have Waze on at all?
No, not at that point, because it kept telling me to turn around. And I had the radio blaring. I did not turn it down at all.
I do.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I do is turn that radio down. We got to focus. I can't focus with the radio going. I got to turn it down.
Up.
NH3425 adds this in the chat. Grader is about Brandon Burlsworth at Arkansas. Acting is terrible, but the story hits hard.
Yeah.
That's a sad story. I've never seen that movie.
Which one?
Grader about, Brandon Burlsworth that played at Arkansas died in, I believe, a car accident. Did he not?
I don't even know the story.
You don't know that story?
I know he's one of the all-time SEC greats, even though I'm not sure they were in the SEC when it happened.
Lineman, and he wore the horn rim, not horn rim, but kind of like Dunaway's frames, except glasses, not sunglasses, under his helmet.
Yeah.
And I believe, had he been drafted and he died in a car accident or something like that?
I don't know his story. You could tell
this?
me he was honored this year at the SEC championship game, and I would have agreed with you. I didn't know he had died. I just knew he's a great SEC player.
Lance, I believe this was Houston Nutt era at Arkansas. So we're talking in the 90s. Yeah. They did a movie about it. I think it's your standard Disney. It's going to have a little cheese to it. And as he said, the acting is terrible. Mystery Fifth Hour presented by McCurry Van and Car Rental. McCurryRentals.com is the website. McCurryRentals.com. You rent from McCurry. They get you in and out fast. They make sure you got what you need because they've got a great stock there at McCurry Rentals. You can find them throughout North Alabama. They have got locations all over North Alabama, Athens, Huntsville. You can find them also in Coleman, 2nd Avenue Northwest, Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. You can reserve that rental today, 256-559-1003. 256-559-1003, McCurryRentals.com. That's McCurryRentals.com. As you know, in the Mystery Fifth Hour, we frequently, even when we're here at Barber Motorsports Park, we just take a topic and we're going in for a little bit. I think we got caught up a little bit in the wording on the show today in the chat room. So understand when I use the wording, what I mean here. We were kind of talking about things you miss when you were dirt poor. I guess where I'm coming from that is like right after you got married or when you were dating or when you were single, and you had nothing to worry about. You have kids to worry about. Your job. If you lost your job, you could probably go find another job just like it. It seemed like life was simpler back then. You got, you're better off financially now. You've got family now. You got a better house now. You got a better job now. But sometimes that complicates things. So when life was simpler, what do you miss from the time that life was simpler? The reason I thought of this is you said when you and Bethany lived in L.A., one of your highlights of the week was y'all had Sundays off. You would foot it down to 7-Eleven, get a slushie in the LA Times.
That's a true story. I would get excited because they would rotate their flavors out. They always had Coke. I love Coca-Cola like as much. And I'm not the Coke Zero. I'm not the Diet Coke. I love Coke Classic. Absolutely love it. Got it in my fridge. Drink it up at the station.
By the way, I thought they've got these personalized Diet Coke cans. From a distance, I thought this said Panther.
Oh, it says partner, doesn't it?
It says partner, yeah.
Is that somebody's name?
I couldn't tell you. I don't know if that's
partner?
just what's up, partner? But I thought it said Panther. Does that not look like Panther to you, like from a distance?
Maybe it looks like
Pointer.
Pointer?
It looked like partner to me.
So I was like, man, I'm getting a Panther Diet Coke.
But I think the most famous Slurpee or icy is Coca-Cola flavor, but I never liked that flavor. So that was always a standard, and then they would rotate. And they had white cherry a lot, and that was my favorite. But they had blueberry and all these different flavors. But, yeah, we would go there. And that's back when the Sunday LA Times was like phone book thick. It was crazy.
Yeah. So did you read the whole thing or just the sports page?
No, I mean, entertainment, sports. I was trying to act out there. And so there would be, like, different things about things that were coming up. They had a thing out there called Drama Log. Was it? I think it was Drama Log. And it would have all of your – so I would buy that once a week, and it would have all the – like open casting and auditions and stuff around town.
Yeah.
But the LA Times I thought back then was awesome, much like the USA Today, but that was kind of our Sunday thing. And then, once a week we would go to the grocery store. We couldn't afford Ralph's. We always had to go to Vaughn's. And I thought it was awesome because there was such a beer selection back. This is in 1996. And, back here, when you would go to Bruno's in 1996, there might be 6 different beers to choose from.
Right. But out there,
Out there, man, there was a lot. And so I thought that was pretty awesome too.
Did you ever think you were going to make it? Was there ever a moment where you thought I might make it in acting? Or was it a slap of reality as soon as you got out there?
Yeah. So on the way out there, I was convinced for a couple of years that I would be able to make it. Because, I thought I was good at going out and networking and having fun with people and all that kind of stuff. And it's a different world out there. And I know nobody would believe this, but I swear to you, I am glad I did not make it out there. I know that sounds so stupid, but I am so content with my life. I just wonder how much things would have changed. People I never would have met, probably wouldn't have had the kids. Who knows what would have happened? Because I know this, Bethany was leaving. She was like, I ain't coming back. This place is a shithole. And when I started processing that, I was like, well, I'll come back for a little bit and then I'll go back. And then I was just like, it just wasn't for me.
So, even if you're Matthew McConaughey level successful, you're happy that didn't happen?
I mean, I'd love to have that money. Would absolutely. And back then, I wanted that kind of fame. But I can't even imagine having that kind of fame. McConaughey's got to, that life's got to be somewhat miserable. I mean, it really does. Like, that guy can't go anywhere.
No, he can't. Like, I've done away. You've seen him on sidelines of football games. I mean, he gets mobbed everywhere he goes.
I mean, I know he does, but on sidelines of football games, I think they're very respectful to him because you have a lot of people who are down there working.
Well, but I saw him. This was pregame.
You're asking, is there a camera on him? Yeah, there's a camera on him a lot, but nobody's, he's not constantly getting hit with autographs and stuff.
Well, this was pregame Texas, Georgia. So granted, it is pregame, and he's walking out on the sidelines in the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. And it's one after another asking him for a photo, and he said yes. But the minute you say yes to one, you've probably said yes to 5 or 10, which he did. Like, one guy's like, hey, can I get a selfie? He's like, sure. So he smiles, and the guy does a selfie. And as soon as somebody sees that, what are they going to do? Like, I'm going to be the next. If he says yes to him, he'll say yes to me. So, look, I mean, that goes along. I'm sure McConaughey would, if you said you can, nobody will ever ask you for a selfie, but you got to give up all of your money. He'll still do selfies. I get it. I'm not feeling sorry for the guy, but there is something that comes along with all that fame.
So there was a friend of a friend got me set up with this producer's wife. And it's funny, he was one of the producers. And I forgot his last name's Taylor. And I can think of this in a second because he was a big time producer back in the 80s and 90s. He produced Field of Dreams. But his wife, Julie Taylor, was a casting director. And I just remember they were casting for Free Willy 2 at that point.
Oh, wow.
Free Willy 2 or 3. And so she brought me out to her house in Brentwood. And Brentwood is like a homewood of Vestavia. It's upscale. It's actually where O.J. Simpson and all that stuff went down with Nicole. It's very unassuming. Like, if you see it on TV and then you actually drive through it, you're like, what's the big deal about Brentwood? Very expensive, exclusive, all that kind of stuff. Went to her house, met with her. We had lunch. And then she invited me to the studios. And I think at that point she was at Warner Brothers. And that's when she was casting for Free Willy 2. And so I got to go meet her and like her assistant casting director. And they didn't even get me to read. They just were kind of hanging out talking to me. And but for that moment, I was like, maybe this leads to something.
Yeah.
Because those are the kind of meetings that do lead to something. But no, there was never a time where I was like, man, this thing's about to hit. I never had an agent. I never got a SAG card. That was long way away.
Yeah.
You're not going to make it without an agent, right?
Not without an agent. No, I mean, seriously, though, not in LA.
Yeah. That's what I tell EG all the time. Her next step to sidelines at ESPN, probably need an agent.
Yeah.
Because they hire from certain agencies.
Well, the tough part in that is paying the agent when you don't have the gig. Some will, work with you.
Pro bono, though. Like,
some will do that.
I would think there would be an agent that would take a shot with an EG and you don't have to pay me anything. I'm going to shop your tape around. And once you get established, we get you this gig, then we can start charging.
Then you're a CAA client.
Yeah. And that's what is what she, I agree. I didn't know she didn't have representation.
Well, I don't know if she does or not, but that's what I've always told her is that you got to have an agent to take that next step to where she wants to go.
Yeah. And our agents, the people that represent us, that's not really what they do. They don't shop people around for a TV job. So, we could help her in that aspect, but I don't know that they do that. They don't really do that for.
No, they shop coaches.
They shop coaches around for jobs.
I know you wanted to do kind of the ESPN thing, right?
Nope. Nope. All I ever wanted to do.
You did the ESPN2 read or something.
No, remember I turned it down. Didn't even go to Bristol when I talked to him on the phone.
Yeah.
Because they weren't going to let me cover college football.
And Reese took it, right?
Reese was going to be in that group anyway.
Yeah.
I'd never made it to even the level of interviews, or I talked to a lady on the phone. I'd been recommended by somebody from the SEC, and it was when they were launching ESPN2, and it was going to be all X Games sports, rodeos, everything that's not on ESPN. And I asked her, I said, would I ever get to do Sports Center? Would I ever get to cover college football, anything like that? And she said, no, it's going to be totally separate from ESPN. And, you know, we're going to keep them separate. No.
Well, they obviously said no to probably see who really would just be all in on talking about skateboarding.
And that's the way it was to start with. Reese, Susie Colburn.
Yeah, Oberman.
And Keith Oberman, Stu. That was 4. I don't know. I think there were 8 of them. And they started on ESPN2, and the ratings were so bad, they were not getting picked up by any of the cable systems. And that's when they put the Duke, North Carolina basketball game on ESPN2, forcing people to pick up the cable system. So they abandoned that plan altogether and just made it more of what was ESPN. And half of those people went on that year to start filling in on Sports Center and doing all the stuff I would have dreamed of doing.
It went from there will be no crossover.
That's right, no
crossover.
You're going to wear a leather jacket.
Right.
You and Susie sit on stools and do this, you know, non-traditional version of Sports Center on ESPN2 and cover X Games stuff. And I was like, no interest. I got into this because I was too poor to go to the college, really the Alabama games. And so I wanted to do that. I really wanted to be Herb Wenches. I wanted to be in Birmingham, Alabama, and that's what I wanted to do, and that's what I got to do.
McCurry Vandercar Rentals brings you the Mystery Fifth Hour. We're live at Barber Motorsports Park, IndyAlabama.com for tickets this weekend, IndyAlabama.com. They're out on the track right now. The big race on Sunday. You can still get your spot, IndyAlabama.com. McCurry Vandercar Rental brings you the Mystery Fifth Hour. You can rent from McCurry, McCurryRentals.com, McCurryRentals.com. Also catch them throughout North Alabama, Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, 2nd Avenue Northwest in Coleman, also Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa, McCurryRentals.com. That's McCurryRentals.com. Charles says, what was the biggest story in the LA Times when you were out there reading the LA Times? Do you remember
what
the
year
biggest
was
one?
it?
So I remember, this is interesting. The Atlanta bombings happened and Centennial Park.
96?
In 96. I remember, you know, sitting, we didn't have any furniture really in the apartment. We literally had, and I'm not exaggerating, we had a cardboard box that was the table for the TV in the living room, and we put a bed sheet over it, like a decorative sheet. And so that was the only thing. But I remember we had the phone kind of pulled across, and I was talking to somebody back home when CNN broke in, or ESPN, about the Atlanta bombings. So I know that was a big story out there at that time. Cedric Ceballos going to Lake Havasu on an off day and riding around on a jet ski. Lakers,
Lakers did not like that?
The LA media was killing him for that.
Really?
That was just a random one.
Was that like Bill Plaschke? Was he the columnist there?
Yeah, Plaschke was big.
Was
God, I forgot who else was big columnist out there.
I'm trying to think the LA Times columnist. Bill Plaschke's, I just know him from, I've seen him on Around the Horn.
That was when LA lost all their football. So they were trying to contract Seattle to come to Los Angeles at that point, the Seahawks. That was a big
because
story.
The Raiders had gone to Oakland and the Rams had gone to St. Louis.
Yeah, yep. And there was no football in LA. It's hard to believe there was no football in LA.
What dark years.
Yeah, I mean, it really is, though, when you think about
it. For a long time. A long time.
Jay says, you don't even have to be poor for this. I just miss the 90s and not being tied to every piece of tech that exists.
You know, and when you said this today, that was the one thing that jumped out to me. And I agree with Jace. Like, when I didn't have any money, you had less stress because of all of these devices and everything that goes around and all of the accessibility and, you know, just, I don't know. I did like a simpler life. I really did. Like, I liked having a little, you know, a black book of phone numbers.
Lance had his little black book. You see, well, no, I'm not going to give you up. Well, that sounded far more ominous than it should. You have a unique way of saving numbers in your phone. Like you say about people's nicknames and stuff like that. Yeah. Did you do that in the black book too, just in case?
Maybe. Yeah. Do y'all not do?
No.
It's funny because, you know, I've always done that. And there's an episode of Curb where he does the same thing. I think a lot of people do
like,
that.
I think I'm Brownie and yours and Jim and Jimmy D or something like
people that do the updates. Dunaway's still J Dunn.
J Dunn.
You used to be RB.
I could never keep up with who I'm calling.
Yeah, I'm just trying to see if anything. There's not going to be any exciting ones.
I'm as thorough as I can be.
There's Richard kicking at coolers, Richard Holland. Tommy Firestick Jones.
Yeah. See, I put that underneath in their business.
Yeah,
the company underneath.
Yeah.
So I'll put like, Tommy, and underneath to be Fire Stick, or to be like Jimmy. First time I met Jimmy, I think I put Jimmy Anthony, and underneath to be LT's friend.
LT's friend.
Yeah.
That's
But
how
I'll tell you,
it?
one of the reasons I do it like this is because sometimes, you bring up Herb Winchester, and he is the best. I think we'd all agree at remembering names. It's crazy. I still see him, I almost every weekend now down at the landing, and he knows everyone's name. And even like I'll be sitting next to a couple that's 80 years old, and they bring it up. Man, I cannot believe Herb remembers everything about everybody. But because I couldn't remember last names, especially, then I would know what I was looking for business-wise or whatever the activity was. And so if I forgot the name, I could put that in and it would take me right to it.
Yeah, no, it's, if I got a friend at Alabama Power, I'd go Brian, underneath to be Alabama Power. Gene Hallman, Bruno Event Team. I'd have that underneath, just so I know who I'm talking about. But LT's friend, Brown's friend, guy I met at the Ole Miss game.
Random guy met at the Ole Miss game.
Yeah.
Dunaway, something when times are simpler, you miss what?
All the ones that everybody has said. I do miss the newspaper. That was always fun on a Sunday morning. When we had no money at all, I did enjoy the how to describe it, how you start building your life together,
Right.
and the planning stages of what you want to do, and then you finally you get that you're married and you get that first big piece of furniture that your wife wanted to put in the living room.
Do you remember what it was?
It was that big thing that we barely fit that TV in that time.
We broke it. You remember?
And we did. I don't think it shut after that.
No, me and Dunaway he had called me. Was that your first HD TV?
I don't know if it was. I don't even know if that was HD. I just know that.
It was massive, Lance.
Yeah.
He'd bought this.
It was deep.
Yeah, he bought it like Best Buy. It was a tube TV. It was back when he still had tube TV. So he calls me and said, "Hey,
Was it that gray Sony? Because I had a couple
Yeah.
of those things were so damn heavy.
It was heavy.
They had the
Brownie and I
32
barely
and
could
the
carry it.
36, which I thought were massive back then.
Dunaway's like, I'm not going to be able to get it out of the car into the house and up into the. Can you come help me?" So I
Yeah.
drive over to Dunaway's house, and I'm like, "Jim, are you sure it's going to fit in here?" He goes, "Yeah, I've measured. It's barely going to fit. I mean, it's going to be tight." So we put it in, and when we do, it breaks off. You know how like the door has the little, like the door closes and it's got the little latch right there. We
Yeah.
broke that off, so the door would never close
Yeah.
again.
Had to
Just
keep it
pushing
open,
it
which
in the
drove her
bag.
crazy because
And this is in your house?
Oh, yeah.
she wanted to keep when we were not watching TV, keep it closed so it looked like we didn't have a TV.
Right.
And which I always thought was stupid. I was like, we're in America, everybody's got a TV
Yeah, and
I don't
and
want
I
it
make
to-
my money how
on
Yeah.
TV.
Yeah.
But it fit to where we had to sit it on there and then push it in through
yeah.
the screen because our fingers wouldn't fit. That's how tight it was.
Yeah, I mean, it barely fit.
It fit, but it was basically rubbing the edges as it went in.
And the first thing it did was shear off that
So
pig. And
she
it was
didn't
my
want
fault.
a TV?
When on our honeymoon, day 3 of our honeymoon on the beach in Jamaica, in the grill, I think we'd gone up to Rick's Cafe and we were up there and we were into the liquor. And she was like, we were talking about kids and things like that, things you're supposed to talk about before you get married. And she's like, I think I'd like to never have a TV in the house. And I'm local TV, NBC 13's Jim
Doesn't
Dunaway
she
at the
watch
time.
TV all the time?
I was like, oh, she does now. I mean, there's not a room in our house that doesn't have a TV.
Yeah.
We got one in the kitchen,
How
the
far we've
living
come.
room, the bedrooms, multiple ones in the sports room. There is a TV in every room, And for a while, we had 2 screens in the minivan when the kids were little. Yeah, that could play 2 different things with headsets.
How long did you guys date before? Because that's
Uh,
interesting that you got straight into the 3rd day of the honeymoon, the kids discussion.
18 months, 19 months.
Because it's funny and that's that's a pretty good courtship. There's a lot of people that get married so quick because we used to work with a guy. I don't think you ever did. You might have crossed over. His name was Steve, and he was in sales. And I remember I was out on a sales call, and he was telling me about his first wife, and he was married to his second at that point. But he said he knew it was a red flag when they didn't go on a honeymoon because they didn't have enough money. But they got married on a Saturday, and then Monday he's getting ready for work, and she's still in bed. And he's like, "Hey, baby, you got to get up and go to work." And she's like, "I'm not working anymore." And he's like, "Wait, what do you mean?"
You
She
never
was
had
like,
that conversation.
Yeah, I don't think I'm going to work anymore. And he was like, that was the beginning of the end. And they made it like 3 months.
Yeah.
I'm just like, how did things like that happen?
How did you get married without that
It's not going to work
conversation?
anymore.
Yeah. And what are you going to take of mine? 50% of what? We've got nothing.
We got nothing.
When I
Especially
asked
if you don't work, we got less.
And at that point, when you don't have kids, you don't have anything to do. Like, I mean, really, how bored would you get at that point when you don't have money, you don't have kids, and you don't have a job? So I said, what did she do all day? Prescription pills.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a problem.
Yeah. If he'd have stayed with her, she'd have been about 220 by the time they hit their 5th anniversary.
And not working still. So I didn't mean to interrupt you. So that first piece of furniture,
Just little things like that. everything was fun. It was you were building things, sort of like when we started this. When we were picking out furniture, still one of my favorite parts of building this, or colors, or when we were driving around looking for office space. All of that will always be the best of times. That was everything was so new, and we were building it, and that was when we were poor with the company. That was absolutely the best.
Now we're loaded. Jay says, with your phone, he says, I do the same. Nicknames, or I save people by their profession, because I've got in my phone grass cutter, wood guy, tree guy.
No, 100%. Yeah, but I got their. I don't
have their name.
Yeah, I got the name and then them underneath it. No, I got some people, like the girl that came by the other day. I couldn't remember her first name. I just called her Mo. Mo's coming by. Introduce yourself to Ryan.
Please say your whole name.
Yeah, I do. But I do have, the snakes, the sly dog.
Rod says, I miss getting in the car after work with my wife, and we could just go for a ride. Nobody could get to you, and no cell phones. I do remember as a kid taking joy rides. I don't know if you guys took joy rides.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
But me and mom and dad and my brother would just get in the car. Me and my brother be in the back seat, windows down, on a day like this. And you just drive and drive and drive. We had nowhere to go.
Well,
drove.
And I don't know how often you were. So it wasn't a lot, but when Pat and Chuck were together and me and Shane were in the back seat, Chuck would always pack a cooler, and it would be the Sunday drive, and we would have to hand the beers to him when he's driving around.
Yep.
But Pat wanted to look at houses we couldn't afford. So he didn't really care as long as he was drinking and driving us around Birmingham.
Yeah, we'd go riding on dirt roads out near the Cabo River or on U.S. Steel property or whatever, and that was fun, unless we got stuck in the mud somewhere, or come almost kill yourself coming over a hill on basically a one-lane dirt road with another car coming the other way going way too fast. Those were fun rides. But that's how first time I ever went on 280 was every now and then we'd pack up and go out to Lloyd's, which was in the middle of nowhere in my mind back then. And now, I live right in that area, and that was a journey to go there.
No, I went with my grandparents to Lloyd's. It was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
But it was further out than the last location.
But this was the most recent location I'm talking about. It was still felt like it was in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Like I remember vividly going back to Anniston, and my dad would go down 119 because he would say, I don't want to go all the way back to 459. That'll take forever. We're just going to go down 119.
Yeah.
And now you get to 459 like that sometimes from that old Lloyd's property.
But you've got 459. I mean, when I was just telling this to Maggie the other day, because we were coming from, we'd gone to Improv downtown. Whatever night that was this week, Tuesday night.
Who did you see?
Bunch of improv teams.
I wonder if my buddy was part of them. I got a good friend, a guy named Jacob Simmons.
What's the name of his team?
Ugly Baby?
Maybe.
No. Hang on.
Were they at the Golden whatever?
I don't know. I'll text him and find out. I like him.
It was really nice. It was a courtyard. It had, I didn't love it.
He's fun. He's really good at it.
Yeah.
His stuff's been very funny.
I didn't love it, but the wine was good and it was outside. Weather was perfect, and Harper and Maggie was good. But I got on the expressway there on 3rd, and you've got just a short time to get out before you have to get back off the expressway again. Right. But meanwhile, people are flying on the expressway, and they're trying to get over to get off on the next one.
I know.
And it's like, and I was like, this thing is so poorly designed. Oh man, this makes no sense. And then I was like, I was watching Channel 6 the day they opened this damn thing in Alabaster. And I guess they just blasted through that mountain, connecting Homewood to Birmingham.
Right.
And I guess you used to have to go over past the Vulcan down that windy road to get into Birmingham. I guess that's how you got into Birmingham before the expressway. How bad was that? But that was the expressway. And then I lived in Alabaster, where the interstate didn't exist yet. Like the interstate ended in Hoover and did not pick back up until Clanton.
So what, you just got off on like 31?
You had to get off on 31 and go all the way on 31 and then get back on
everything still
down in, I don't know I think it was even past the Shelby County Airport.
Wow.
It was something to do with I'm sure racism, but my parents told me something else. But
Racism?
yeah, there was some reason why
They ran out of asphalt, son.
they would not connect the interstate in Shelby County. So you had to get off in Hoover and then get back in Chilton County. And in Shelby County, there was no I-65. You had to go on Highway 31.
They ran out of asphalt, kid.
Yeah.
Quit asking questions.
Yeah. that asphalt's too black.
You know, one of the things that you do, whether you have
I'm working
money,
on my new stand-up comedy.
I
by the
like
way.
that. That was a good one. Right there.
money or not, is ghetto Mexican, right?
I love it.
Yeah, I remember one of the first places out 280 was, I think it was called Ixtapa. I think it's the one where where the Wendy's is now.
Oh,
There's a little
yeah.
Mexican
Bailey
one right
Brothers
there.
Music right there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, but we would go, and it would be like an hour wait.
Oh, Lance.
Hour and a half wait. And I remember we would sit there, and because, we would probably end up spending $30-$35, which is a lot of money back in the day to go out for dinner back in the late 90s. But it was just, I don't know, there was just something about that.
It was so good. The first Mexican I ever had was it's still in Anniston. A lot of people think it's Oxford already, but still in Anniston on Quintard Avenue. It was a place called Los Mexicanos. And it was the first.
Probably pronounced Los, but go ahead.
Yes. I don't know if you know my history with Spanish in college, Jim.
We do.
Yeah, Los Mexicanos.
Unless it was a T in the end of it, lost.
Los Mex is what we called it. Los Mex.
Yeah.
And but anyway, that was the only Mexican restaurant in Calhoun County, I think. And man, there would be a 2-hour wait sometimes, and you didn't mind it.
But that
because
was
it's the only place you get Mexican.
And I guess you got at that point, maybe it was the 90s when you started getting more of an influence where people were coming up from the border, literally.
Yeah.
Because back in the day, my first experience with Mexican food, I didn't like it. It was called El Chico, and it was in Brookwood Mall.
Yeah, we called it El Cheapo, but yeah.
El Cheapo?
Yeah, but went there and it didn't taste anything like the Mexican food I taste now.
Yeah.
And so I kind of soured on Mexican early, and then I think it was La Fiesta actually in college, and everybody will remember, right there on the corner of McFarland. Everybody remembers the story on why they got shut down.
Yep.
But I think that was my first introduction. That and Pepitos on the Strip, I just absolutely love it.
I can still, and I know y'all think this is crazy because I was a kid under a teenager.
You can still taste it.
I can still taste the salsa to this day from Los Mex. The first time I ever ate Mexican.
El Palacio on Green Springs, I can still taste it.
But I would.
It was so, Jim. It was so exotic.
Early Maggie would bring, the jarred salsas home, and she'd even go to the deli and pick some up there. And you know me, I'll occasionally bitch about something. I was like, baby, I just want, I want the salsa they serve at these cheap restaurants. That's the salsa I want. I want it runny. I don't want chunky. I don't need it to be fancy salsa. I want it to be really runny salsa that has that flavor that you get. And then she brought restaurant style from somebody someday, and I go,
still wasn't right.
That's closer, but it's not right. It's something they may put water in.
What it was like the queso too. Remember, it was all orange.
Yeah.
Like you'd go to the Mexican restaurants and be like, I want the white queso, and then finally I think it was like Gordo's is the one that did it. It still wasn't right.
Yeah. So that's exactly right. There's something about whatever they do to the salsa there. I don't know
think
what
I
it is.
might go ghetto Mex tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the funny thing is it was such a treat back then. I probably ate it 2 or 3 times a week sometimes. Now.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We've said that
back
on our show before that if you had to eat one kind of food every day,
Mexican.
I think you said Mexican when you said it.
Yeah.
I think
sure.
stupidly I said Italian.
Oh God, you'd weigh 1,000,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Hunter asked did I ever visit the Rocket while I was at Jack State? Was good, and my Nana's favorite spot. The Rocket's phenomenal. If you're over in Jacksonville ever,
Is it burgers?
burger and barbecue.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
Burger and barbecue.
that lag sauce, I crave
So
it.
good. Hey,
Yeah.
that's very close to the Rocket sauce.
It is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will say that. When I went to Lags, I got him to give me a side of that sauce, dip my fries in.
They wouldn't tell me what was in it today.
Secret recipe.
I said
Were Eric or Justin there?
they didn't say hi to me again if they were. There were a lot of people there,
Good.
but I was dressed like this, so I'm not
Incognito.
recognizable.
You didn't have your monogrammed robe on?
No, and I wasn't searching them out either. But I was hoping they'd say hi to me because when the lady said, "What name can I put on the order?" I turned to the kitchen and said, "Jim Dunaway." And still nobody came and talked to me. I guessed I was talking to the guy behind who was doing the grill, and I was like, "What's in this sauce?" And he's like, "Can't tell you." And I said, "Is it ketchup, mustard, and A1?" Because that's what I thought it was. I thought it was,
And was he like, damn?
No, you got it first guess, sir.
who are you?
Yeah.
Chef
Gordon Ramsay in
Boyardee?
here.
Wait, ketchup, mustard, and A1?
That's what it tasted like to me.
I don't know.
I would say there's more mayo in it than mustard.
Is A1 still a big thing?
Oh,
And I'm being serious. Like
no,
A1
I've
was
seen
Are we
A1.
talking about
massive in the 70s.
Are we talking about the same
I
sauce?
think so.
The little
Lax sauce.
brown
Yeah, I think it's
sauce?
called their hero sauce.
Yeah. It's like kind of a
Reddish brown?
color.
Yeah, okay.
You think there's more mustard in it than mayo?
Oh, I
I'd say-
didn't know there was any mayo
Any
in it
good
at all.
sauce has
Well,
got
there may
mayo.
not be. I don't know.
I didn't know there was
thought
any
that
mayo
a
in it at
base.
all.
I
Yeah.
bet there is.
I thought that was a base. to
Are
it.
you worried you're going to gain a half pound? eating that
No,
mayo?
no. I went to lunch. I had crispy tater tots and a double patty burger
Heck yeah, that sounds amazing.
with
Do you go
with
Diet
cheese.
Coke or cold beer?
Diet Coke.
Yeah.
You know
Get
me, I
Chris
don't
right.
drink a lot.
Have you had one of their Little Debbie shakes yet?
No, I was wondering if they had dessert.
Oh yeah, they've got Little Debbie shakes.
So
Yeah,
is
they
it
had
the
a
oatmeal pie?
they had an oatmeal cream pie, a Swiss cake roll, and I can't remember the third one. I got the Swiss cake roll, of course.
I'm sure they're good. I'm just not a big Little
Man, it's
Debbie guy.
Very
Yeah,
good.
I was
Cosmic brownie
I was
would be
going to save
interesting.
it for Jenny's ice cream when I was done
Okay.
here for the way home. Hit a little Jenny's ice cream
Oh,
somewhere.
salty caramel, so good.
Yep.
So mine, when times were simpler, my wife and I, when we first got married, my wife was still working in Anniston, and I was already working in Birmingham at the in the same building Jocks is in, a different radio thing. And we lived in Riverside, halfway in between. We had a little place that was basically, it was on a little slough of Logan Martin Lake. It
Close
was
to
a-
where we were last night.
Yeah, not too far away. Not
Yeah.
too far away. It was a duplex, and we had one half of the duplex.
Did you have a
And-
good duplex neighbor?
We were there 6 months, and I think we had two different neighbors in that 6 months time.
Right.
One of them smoked a lot, and you could smell it, and the other one stood out back and smoked the talk on their Nextel. That was back when the press the talk.
yeah.
was-
No,
She's
yeah.
like, yeah, I told her she can go kiss my ass because I mean it was just back and forth. That's all you could hear.
That's
so
how we
bad.
communicated in NBC 13 when
Oh,
I
was
first
it?
got here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think it was off Alabama Power Towers or something
Something
like that.
Yeah. But we were poor. I was, just starting out in radio. There was no money in that. She was a nurse, in Anniston. There wasn't a ton of money in that. And I'll tell you what was a treat meal for us. She would buy a hamburger helper. It was like a chicken and dressing meal. So I guess you would just like maybe brown a couple chicken breasts and chop it up and then mix everything up with a hamburger helper. And man, it tasted like Thanksgiving to me. It was so good.
And
it
how
was,
often would you do it?
but like once a week. It was like that was like our good meal. That wasn't, a hot dog or something like that. That was super cheap. But that was our good meal. And it was so good. And like I could probably go buy it today. I don't know why we don't do it, but I can think of that meal. And it was just like that was the best moment of our week was eating that meal.
Yeah,
Okay,
The
two
tr-
things. One, that's the first story in 15 years that I thought I was going to be able to finish parts of it. I'd never heard that story before.
Okay, cool.
So that was good.
Yeah, I've never heard it either.
That's one story you did not sound condescending in. That was really good. That was a great Ryan Brown moment. That was really good.
At the end of the show.
Now, do you think though that like, I mean, being a trust fund baby would be great. I
Sure,
mean, there's a
yeah.
lot of benefits,
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
there's a lot of things that you would miss, right?
I'd go back and eat that meal right now. I just wonder if it's as good. Like
Oh, it wouldn't be. It
No,
would not
it's
be.
not,
Our
because
palates have changed.
I loved SpaghettiOs when I was a kid. I
Me
never forget
too.
one time Hallie got SpaghettiOs and I tried
Yeah.
them. I was like, my God, I can't believe I ate
No,
that.
but I still do the ghetto mac and cheese where we do the old school craft because I did it for Jack a couple of years ago and he loves it. And then cut up regular hot dog
Yeah.
and then put ketchup in it. Does that sound good or
still,
bad?
it still tastes good to you?
It wasn't bad. I mean, it was
wasn't
good.
bad. Yeah, not as good as it used to.
No.
See, we don't like to admit it, the three of us, but we've changed.
Oh,
Our
I've changed
palate has
100%,
changed. We've
yes.
changed in the 15 years we've been together.
Yeah. I mean, I would look at, some of the stuff I eat now. I didn't eat sushi till I was an adult. When did you
Yeah.
have sushi for the first time?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't eat mayonnaise probably 20 years ago. I didn't like the taste of mayonnaise. Last night I'm at the Publix place saying,
Yeah.
"Hey, you can give me a little bit more mayonnaise if you
Slap
want
that
to."
stuff
man."
on there, baby. Which
I
wine
said,
so
you can give me a little bit more mayonnaise if you want to. It's going to be coming off the side. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, that's all
I
right.
know.
This is a live mystery fifth hour, and it's always presented by McCurry Van and Car Rentals. Don't forget you can rent from McCurry. They got all kinds of trucks, SUVs, passenger vans, in and out fast. Athens, Muscle Shoals, Huntsville, Coleman, 2nd Avenue Northwest, Skyland Boulevard in Tuscaloosa. Here's your phone number, 256-559-1003. That's 256-559-1003 or McCurryRentals.com, McCurryRentals.com.
Unscientific poll. Help me out in the chat room. I've always liked this style of sunglasses. I've got to
I
buy a
like
new pair now because it is cracked here.
I'm not a big Ray-Ban guy. I think I've got a pair.
Think
like
you have a
that,
pair?
and you can
Will you
just-
give
can
them to
have
Jim?
them. Yeah,
And you think you had a black pair just like
Yeah.
this?
Close.
Yeah.
Since
Yeah.
I'm not condescending right now, I will give you a compliment. I think those look good on you. I think you
Wow.
ought to wear that style.
You know, I asked EG and Taylor and Forrester the other day if I was gonna, because I was thinking to myself, I had these since 2012, and the universe. I should not have questioned these
Yeah,
glasses.
that's right.
I broke them now.
Yeah.
But it was the last week or two. I said, "What
It's a powerful thing, man.
what sunglasses should I get? What would be good on my face?" And I
Oakley
didn't tell him
Blades.
I had this.
Blade.
And
Blade
Taylor
outfit.
didn't answer me. Forrester says, "I don't know, man. I'm busy." And EG actually said, I think you look good in the classic black Ray-Bans." And I was like, "That's the ones I
Oh,
own."
there you go. I would
Yeah.
listen to EG. She's good on fashion.
Yeah.
Hey, real quick though,
Yeah.
before just one more thing on Barbers, like if you've never been out here before, if you haven't been in a while, it is absolutely beautiful. And I know we've said this a million times because I think we've done 15, 20 shows out here. It looks like you're in a different country.
You really do. Yeah. I mean,
It is
Well, I
so
mean,
green out here.
it is. It is wild. I mean, this is such a cool place. You could see it this weekend. The road to the Indy 500 running right here through Birmingham this weekend. Award, Dixon, Newgarden, they all put their skills to the test. Miss America, Abby Stockard will give the most iconic command in all of racing as the Grand Marshal. May starts here. Children's of Alabama Indy Grand Prix, powered by AmFirst. Tickets selling fast. Get yours today. IndyAlabama.com. IndyAlabama.com. Thank you to them for having us out here. Support it this weekend, especially Sunday on NBC there. IndyAlabama.com. IndyAlabama.com.
Watch Jurassic Park this
I
weekend.
will do my best. I got a lot going on. I got to
Okay.
host the Sports Hall of Fame. over the weekend.
Black 10 on the hill, far end over there. If I said you had to spend the weekend over there, you think you'd have a good time?
Look at them trudging back up there to it.
Well, do I get a +1?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
You can go +3 if you want to.
What kind of 10 is that, Jim? Don't look that big.
Hey, honest to God, I don't think I've ever spent the night in a tent. I haven't.
In a tent.
I've
I'm
never
not
spent-
either.
I've only spent one night outdoors, and it was like a pledge retreat that we
Yeah.
had to do our first semester, and we went out somewhere around here probably, and we slept outside, but I just slept on the ground.
I'm going to
Okay.
tell you.
How about this? We let
Right.
you off of the Spray Tan SEC Media Days for 2 nights at the Oak Mountain, which is close to your house. What's it called where you'd have no electrical hookup?
Primitive.
Primitive
camping.
tent camping.
Yeah, I think
You
I'm
do
gonna
a
take
tent
the.
campfire.
Take the spray
I
tan.
don't think you realize how dark I'm about to get at my pool this summer going into the spray tan. Spray tan is not going to affect
Hey, I've
me.
looked ahead. Tomorrow is going to be a little dicey in that tent over there with the weather coming through.
Oh,
Wind?
yeah, it would be bad.
Wind, rain,
yeah.
everything.
Wind, rain, storms.
But we did hear Sunday is going to be
Sunday's
absolutely
perfect
beautiful.
out here.
Yeah.
IndyAlabama.com. So thank you to them. Thank you to McCurry Van and Car Rental. Thank you for joining us. Please give us a thumbs up, like, subscribe, set your alerts so you always know when we're live. Have a great weekend. We'll see you Monday on the next round.